Every new year, we love to look back on what the previous year taught us, and this year is no exception. So on this episode, we're jumping into part 2 of the lessons learned from 2020. If you're new to the Think Marketing podcast, my name is Heather Torres, and I just want to welcome you. If you're one of our listeners over this last year, thank you so much for being a part of our community. And just to let you know, we do release a new episode every single Tuesday. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you're consuming this content from. And this is again part 2 of the 2-part series where Sean is diving into some of the lessons that we learned here on YouTube and also through podcasting and what we've really learned just in general running a business online. These are 5 additional lessons learned. And what I love about this session is that Sean really gets raw. He dives into some of the heart lessons that were learned during this pandemic, during this season of uncertainty. And I hope that you lean in. And while you're listening to these different lessons, I would love for you to reflect on lessons that you've learned. These are just our lessons. And I think it's really important that every year you just audit what happened the previous year. So let's get into today's episode.
Rise and grind. It's a new year full of new opportunities, new possibilities. Let's crush it. Sean Cannell here, and I just want to wish you a happy new year and say thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Think Marketing podcast. I'm so excited to get into part 2 of 10 lessons I learned in 2020 that can help us have more success on YouTube in 2021. If you missed part 1, that was the first 5, and I'm going to get into the second 5 right now. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for spending your time listening to this podcast, whether you watch it or listen to it on YouTube, or whether you're walking your dog, doing some chores, you're at the gym. I just want to say I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. And thank you for taking the time to spend with Heather Torres and myself and the Think Media team and taking the time to invest in yourself. We really believe that the world needs leaders right now. The world needs educators like yourself. The world needs entertainers, and the world needs powerful content that'll make a difference in their lives, that'll help people solve problems, reach their ambitions. And that's what you're doing. And we're here to help you do that more effectively on the Think Marketing podcast. You know, 2020 taught us a lot of things. And I know that it was a year that a lot of people wanted to cancel. It was a hard year on many. And so many of us had so many different experiences. Of course, I think we all experienced some suffering in a lot of ways. But also, I think some of us found a lot of blessings hidden in that suffering. Maybe you lost your job, but you had more time at home with your family. Maybe the suffering was spending more time at home with your family. Who knows? I mean, we all had different experiences, but here are the second 5 lessons that 2020 really taught us. And these are ones that I believe are critical for having success with YouTube in 2021. And the first one is double down on content. The lesson 2020 taught us that was a successful lesson in terms of business was doubling down on content. And back in March of 2020, once the lockdown was announced, once people started wondering, okay, the economy's freezing, restaurants are closing, shops are closing, what are we going to do? You need to stay at home order, you need to isolate. You know, like anybody, initially at Think Media, we kind of panicked. I think we kept our composure, but me as the CEO, I was like, what's going to happen? What's the future of this? What's going to be going on? And was challenged, and I talked about this principle in the first episode of, shifting from peacetime leadership to wartime leadership. And we decided to go on offense. And as content creators, what offense looks like is creating more content. And so in 2020, all year long, we went from 2 to 3 videos a week on Think Media to 5 videos a week. Now, keep in mind, that's multiple content creators. This started as just me shooting videos in my bedroom by myself. I've been through every season. I've been a solo creator. Now, of course, we've got Omar and Nolan doing 2 videos a week each on Think Media. You see, we have a Think Media Q&A show that is a monthly live stream. We have my Friday uploads, which are repurposed content. There's a lot of different things that I think we could go deeper on in a future Think Marketing podcast, that would be helpful. But we doubled down on content. I mean, we really leaned in. And then not only that, we committed to every single Tuesday bringing the Think Marketing podcast to you on audio and as a video podcast, so on YouTube every Tuesday. And we started a couple new shows, the Coffee with Cannell show and the Think Marketing live show, that also were YouTube live streams on the Think Marketing channel. So that's a ton of content. Now, how could you apply this to your life and business? I think it's just to ask yourself, are you being consistent with your content? How can you create more content this year? Not just content for content's sake, but content that attracts your ideal audience, if you will, your ideal customer, and content that really solves problems, helps people reach their ambitions, and then can help people discover your products, programs, and your services. It was a great year for us on the other side of doubling down on content. Lesson number 2 was double down on community. And a couple ways we did that was from the style of content we were doing. In addition to starting a couple shows, we started the VRA show. And Tony Ariola, VRA stands for Video Ranking Academy. He has a monthly show where he interviews somebody, one of our students that's crushing it on YouTube, getting results with the program, and learns from them. Takes a few questions, more time when we're locked down, showing up, because we have tools like Zoom and Streamyard to get on camera and connect with other people, to get a social interaction as best as can happen. If we're not allowed to spend time with each other in person, we can lean in to creating as much connection and community as possible. So we really doubled down on community. We were kind of practicing, and we learned this lesson, that the business that communicates the most wins. The business that is showing up the most for the viewer, for the audience, wins. Because a lot of people went into waiting and retreat mode. So we just started showing up more. And by the way, especially when the lockdown happened, all my travel got canceled. We usually go to Washington to visit we live in Vegas now, my wife Sonia and I, and our son Sean Bradley. But because of the lockdown, we weren't going to Washington. So we found that our schedule was reordered. What did we fill it with? Not with just waiting, not with just pondering, but we started posting more content. So we started the Coffee with Cannell show. What was the purpose of the show? For 1 to 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, I bring people on Streamyard and just answer questions back and forth with the community. That is not just content, because people can listen to those conversations, but it's also, as much as possible, a chance to kind of give back and connect with you, answer your questions, and try to get to as many individuals as possible to hear people's stories, hear what they're going through, and help for free, right, on YouTube with a live show called Coffee with Cannell. Heather Torres does the same thing on the Think Marketing live show, and Tony also has the tip of the week in VRA. So here's the bottom line, though. The principle is, how can you double down on community? How can you create more touch points with your community? How can you maybe add something to your schedule and take a page out of our playbook here that's maybe a weekly show where you bring on one guest, you interview somebody from your community, you talk to one of your customers, you bring them on your video podcast. And a tip could be to start a show. And we'll actually post a link in the show notes of some training we have on why starting a signature show is a really good idea. And when I say a show, I mean Coffee with Cannell is shot on a webcam with a USB mic with Streamyard. It's pretty basic, but we just named it, claimed it, picked a date, calendared it, started doing it. And for a while during the 2020 year, we did these every week. Coffee with Cannell and the Think Marketing live show both happened every single week. We eventually kind of reduced our schedule for sustainability and energy, and now we alternate those shows every other week. And again, that's Heather doing it, myself doing it. Point being is, should you start a show? Could you start a show? Could it be a Q&A show? Could it be just another chance for you to show up? Could it be something where you bring people on and you have conversations, you have discussions? You know, we think about a tool like Streamyard, and if you're ever curious about the tools that we use at Think Media and Think Marketing, we have a page called thinkmediatools.com, and Streamyard is one of our favorites. There's a discount if you want to get access to the paid version. It's our favorite tool for bringing multiple people on your show. I think their highest account now allows at least 6, but they may have bumped it to 10 people that can actually be like, if you want to have kind of like a Zoom call, but like nicer, higher quality, more dynamic editing and different features you can do, looks better. That's StreamYard. But any way you do it, you could use Zoom. More conversation, more community, more connection. Think about starting a show. And additionally, another huge lesson we learned with doubling down on community was we did 2 challenges. And maybe you were a part. Let me know whether you're able to leave a review on Apple iTunes and the podcast, or if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, have you been a part of one of our challenges, the YouTube Influence Challenge? We did those, and these were 7 days of giving free content, answering questions. Of course, we also let people know about some of our advanced programs and trainings, and these were very good for our business in terms of sales and things like that, but they were also great at just connecting with people and creating massive community. We met people doing these challenges were some of the biggest brand growers, awareness growers, meeting new people, helping new people. Maybe you're here, maybe you discovered this podcast because of one of those challenges, doubling down on community. This is your chance in 2021, I think, to think about how can I double down on content and how can I do it smart and how can I double down on community? All right, lesson number 3, double down on personal growth. Man, 2020 taught me that I can either let all the negativity and the vitriol and the toxic emotions and the news cycle, I could let this get to me and really poison my heart and my mind, or I could be really intentional and remember that, as Proverbs says, guard your heart above all else, because out of it flows all of the issues of life. And 2020 taught me the importance of doubling down on personal growth. C.S. Lewis said this: you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Maybe you found yourself even going into 2021 like, man, I feel beat down. I feel in debt, discouraged. I feel really set back. I can't go back and change the beginning. I can't change what happened last year, but you can start where you are right now and you can still change the ending. And I felt this Y in the road, this fork in the road. And I feel like there was a lot of people in 2020, and it's a new year. It's a new opportunity to pick our path where we could stay in cycles of potentially bitterness, stay in cycles of maybe staying on the couch, bottle of wine, pint of Ben and Jerry's, and that extra season of whatever show you're watching. And by the way, we crushed a lot of TV in 2022 still. We still found a way to do it. But I was like, man, I'm not going to let 2020 get the best of me. And I'm applying the same thing in 2021. And I committed to a whole nother level of personal growth. A few people on the Think Media team, we're not like, we just kind of threw out this thing called 75 Hard by Andy Frisella, which is 75 days of like a gallon of water a day, a couple workouts a day. I didn't even finish it. Shout out to Jordan Perez on the Think Media team, the one person who started on the Think Media team that actually finished. What a legend, what an icon. Absolute respect, with 3 kids, with Think Media, with life, with church, with everything that's on her plate. Pretty impressive. When we did our event growth video live, I was about 33 days into it. And then I was like, I can't keep this thing going. And then I had a son. And so seasons kind of shifted, but here's what happened. The habits I developed in doing half of 75 Hard, I just kept them going. I was like, maybe I can't do 2 workouts a day. It's pretty intense. But pretty much I was able to go to a baseline of 1 a day, pretty much 6 to 7 days a week. Wellness is the edge, friend. When you've got a lot of emotional and negativity and things, you got to find a way to fight back, keep your mind strong, keep your body strong. I really think, it's just a lesson I learned, that doubling down on personal growth is more critical in times of uncertainty, toxic news, being emotionally on edge. And I think 2020 taught me too that today's best will not meet tomorrow's challenges. As we began to, especially as the pandemic started, we began to feel so much uncertainty. Like, will we be in business tomorrow? You know, as the CEO of Think Media, I've got payroll for 12 people plus contractors, 12 people full time. And I start thinking, man, am I going to be able to keep paying people? Am I going to be able to, are they going to be able to feed their kids based on, you start feeling a whole vortex of emotions. So I felt a challenge of, man, my best today is not going to meet tomorrow's challenges. I've got to get better. And so in 2020, for me, in response to an uncertain future, not knowing what, seeing some direct challenges and also wondering what's around the corner, whether that could be financial, cultural, legal, limitations imposed by the government, all kinds of crazy things. You don't really know. So it was a commitment to get better and a lesson of doubling down on personal growth. I love the quote that says, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. And we might be in war right now. And even in 2021, who knows? It feels like maybe we've just entered into a new dimension of things just constantly being uncertain. We got to get better. We got to get stronger. We got to double down. And a book recommendation is a book called Leadershift by John Maxwell. And we'll always link up those resources in the show notes. But a great book about shifting and pivoting when crisis and change and culture and our organizations and YouTube and algorithms change. In 2020 and going into 2021, I'm more committed than ever before to sharpening my craft, to studying YouTube, to working at my zone of genius, to leading this company, to learning how to be a better leader, to learning how to be a better content creator, to doubling down on personal growth. Number 4, teamwork makes the dream work. You've heard this before, maybe. Famous quote somebody said, but man, it's so true. And teamwork makes the dream work in so many different areas. I think 2020 taught me that, man, I can't succeed in this life alone. It's my belief that no man is an island. We need each other. I will admit, I need other people. Man, I need my church family. I need my pastor. I need my wife. I need the Think Media team. I need my friends. I need other people if I'm going to stay healthy and strong and navigate through things. And when there's a lot of pressure and when there's uncertainty and when you want to grow something, you need help. I think about it in business. You got to get help. Friend, I want to challenge you. This year, 2021, commit to getting help. Will you say it out loud wherever you are? It's weird. You're driving and someone's next to you. Like, get help. Like, say, like, I need help. Can you say that? Like, repeat after me. I need help. Now, you might be like, well, I haven't even started making money on YouTube yet. You still got to get help. And it could just be communication with your partner, your sister, saying, hey, can you take the kids on Saturday morning so I can work on my side hustle? You got to get help. Can you help alleviate this thing? Hey, mom, can you take, this aspect of my schedule so that I could accomplish this thing over here? You got to ask for help. You got to maybe hire a virtual assistant. You can check out, maybe hire an editor. VidChops is a nice, affordable, relatively speaking, video editing service. You can check that out at thinkmediatools.com. And that's getting help so that you're maybe outsourcing video editing. For us at Think Media, one of the reasons why I think that we weren't able to just survive in 2020, but able to thrive in 2020 was because of the team. There's no question about it. I am surrounded by some of the most world-class, generous, humble, giving, skilled individuals that are willing to also make sacrifices to commit to these same standards of personal growth and committing to sacrifice and community and content. This industry is challenging, especially when the world feels like it's melting all around you, and in a way it is. So teamwork makes the dream work. Think about how you're going to build your team. When I was a solo creator for so many years, I said things about myself like, I'm just not good at delegating. Maybe you'd say these same things. I just don't know where I'd find people. I just don't know how I could afford it. I just don't think I'd ever be able to do that. I'm just going to find out a way to do it by myself. But my friend, I want to challenge you to just commit to the idea that you need help. And for me, I got a book by Brian Tracy, like an audiobook, like How to Delegate. I started to read on the skill I wanted to grow in for years. I listened to podcasts, I studied. I just was like, I need to set that as a target. Even if it's not tomorrow, I'm going to need to get help for the scale and the vision and where this thing is going to go. No question, I learned more than ever before that teamwork makes the dream work. And it's not just business. That's true in life as well. I'm learning that it takes a village to raise a child, right? We have a brand new son, and we just think we're so blessed and privileged for kind of this synergistic, loving, incredible community that's building here in Vegas. And I recognize there's been seasons where we felt isolated, disconnected, in a different city without much of a friend group or network. And I'm empathetic to whatever your situation might be, but I want to encourage you to find a community to connect with, because you need a team in life, a team to help. If you just get stuck in your own thoughts and you can't bounce those thoughts off anybody else, you got to talk things out. You got to process issues. So just having a team in life has been critical. We survived 2020 and I believe thrived in 2020 because of the community around us, the team around us, and then the family team as well. Most of our family lives a state away, a couple states away, up in Washington State, while we live in Nevada. But even still, leaning in on family, and we consider the Think Media team family in different aspects. Teamwork makes the dream work. You got to build your team. You got to commit to building your team. For me, I prayed to build my team. God, help me find a team. Help me find a crew. Help me find a community. Help me find a tribe. Help me find a group to do life together with. Help me find, in my belief, and we respect any belief here at Think Media, but I'm a Christian, and I believe that being connected to a local church is critical to just surviving in life. Like I need it. I believe that God designed us to be in community, to where we're being encouraged each week, where we get to worship each week, and where we get to be in community. And so I'm so grateful for City Light Church here in Las Vegas. And man, I wouldn't have got through 2020, even when we just could watch online, because teamwork makes the dream work. Finally, lesson number 5 of part 2. And if you missed part 1, definitely check that out on the podcast. Go back on the YouTube channel or Spotify or Apple. And let me know, what was a lesson you learned in 2020? Good or bad, something 2020 taught you, but a lesson and a learning that you extrapolated from the year. Post that in the comments. But number 5, count your blessings and keep things in perspective. With everything that's going on, I've learned this no matter what situation you're in. Sonia and I have been months away from being zero in our bank account and even going bankrupt. We've lost homes. We've been under massive health challenges, and Sonia has continually battled a chronic illness. I think even some of the strength and fortitude that I felt in 2020 is because I had my 2020 back in 2009. I mean, we experienced financial devastation, health devastation with my wife almost dying, our community falling apart, our whole church community and our friend group all melting all around us because of some bad decisions by a few people that reverberated through our whole church community. We had a chance to actually let 2009 cause us to get bitter, cause us to get sidelined, cause us to give up, give in, or just move us to inaction. But we learned some of these lessons that now, a decade later, they're even stronger in my life. And I think that has really helped us navigate this year. But one of the biggest lessons was that whether you're in the hardest of times or even the best of times, you still got to count your blessings. I like to start my day sometimes when I'm feeling a little off, and I just go to my journal and I just write down things I'm grateful for, big or small. And I just like to count my blessings and keep things in perspective. And when I think about how 2020 hit people so hard in so many different ways, again, maybe we had to stay home, and maybe depending on where you live, you had different limitations in a city or different things. But even as I was like, shoot, we can't visit our family in Washington, we started to do other things. And one of the things we learned in 2020 was going on a lot of hikes with my wife, Sonia, because we were like, we got nothing else to do. We're not even allowed to see the Think Media team or friends in the city or anything else. So like every single weekend for the entire lockdown, I went on more hikes with my wife, Sonia, during the pandemic when it first started than we had in our entire 15 years of marriage. And what's crazy is that it became a habit. And now it's something that is almost a weekly occurrence for us. It's transformed our health. It's transformed our relationship. It's transformed my stress levels because, man, who would have thought if you get off your phone and get into nature and disconnect and exercise and breathe fresh air for a few hours away from everything, at least like once a week, what that would do for, it kind of makes sense. But again, even in the midst of the crisis, there was this seed of opportunity to spend more time and really strengthen our marriage, and now even spend time with our new son. Time resting and recovering. I think a lot of us learned that the pandemic gave us a pause. It had us slow down depending on our schedules. And you could look at it as like, man, I lost my job, or you could look at it as it's time to reinvent myself. It's time to reflect and time to think about my next moves. And for me, I was traveling so much, and I was probably going at a pace that at least was quite grueling, if not a little too much. And I found that, wow, margin is healthy. Time for rest and recovery. Margin to read and learn. I realized that the pace I was going, and even the way, and a lot of it was so many good things, so many just different invites from friends to speak at events and be a part of different things. And so falling back in love really with reading, starting 75 hard and starting to dive into books again, and it bringing a whole nother level of stimulating my mind and bringing me to an elite level of thinking and really giving me some margin to dream even during really hard times. And we watched a lot of great shows. I tell you what, like if you want to talk about the record holder for spending the most money per month on digital streaming services, my wife Sonia and I for sure have. Amazon Prime, that one's fair because that's the free shipping. HBO Max, yeah, Raised by Wolves. We had to, Stars because of the Seduce, the NXIVM cult. You don't even really want to go there, but it's pretty interesting. HBO Max has The Vow on it as well. Netflix, of course. Hulu, you're like, what? And then Disney Plus, basically all of them. And what happens is, we really only like to watch like the best of the best of the best shows. And then we'll be like, well, that's on a platform we don't even have. Next thing you know, we're signing up. And then I'm like, honey, we'll just cancel it after the cancellation period. We forget to do that. And so we just took out a loan in order to pay our monthly, stream. I'm just kidding. Right. But we were able to watch a lot of great shows. And you might be like, I feel the same way. I finished Netflix in 2020. I didn't just watch, I finished the whole platform with a VPN, counting all the options in other countries. Come on, stick with me. And so, count your blessings though and keep things in perspective. There was so many things we couldn't do. Literally our schedule got changed. Plans we had got canceled. Things had to be rearranged, but we pivoted our plan. You can either pivot or you can panic. And we pivoted and we're counting our blessings, the memories we made, the time that we got to spend with each other, keeping things in perspective. And, I love this quote that I'm reminded of. That's actually in the book of Corinthians in the New Testament. And it says that these light and momentary troubles are nothing compared to the surpassing glory that awaits us. And, as I kind of land the plane on this one, when I think about counting your blessings and keeping things in perspective, for me, just being real and raw with you as a person of faith, it helped me just reframe, because you got to know I got a lot of fears. Like, God, what does the future hold for my son, Sean Bradley? Like, what's the economy going to be like? What's our country going to be like? What does the future hold for our team? Even if maybe we are able to pivot and adapt to this, what's the future of YouTube? I'm just like you, worried, about the future, about what's going to happen next, about, are my parents going to be okay? I hope, are they going to get this thing? Like, what's going on? But I have to be reminded that as a person of faith and as a Christian, my belief is that if I'm right with God, if I'm right with my family, my goal in life is to steward the time that I have here, to steward my time, my talents, and my treasures. And 2020 challenged me to lean deeper into my faith and into prayer, to say, man, my attachment with open hands is not really to this life. As a believer, I believe in the life to come, and that whether I've got a day left on this planet, or I've got a year left, or I've got 100 years left, I'm just here to steward my time, be faithful. I want to live up to my God-given potential, to love my wife hopefully do well by the team in my life, honor God with my time and honor God with my my heart and all those things. And so learning and trying to cultivate an anchored faith of, man, even if everything's falling apart around me, not everything has to be falling apart within me. And 2020 was a chance and a challenge to have inner peace cultivated, which I think is critical for maybe what's to come in 2021. An inner peace, an inner confidence, an inner health, an inner calm to take on whatever is to come and to face every challenge and to try to be as much as, and we all fail, we all fall, but to try to realize, man, I want to be strong for those around me. I want to be strong for the team. I want to be strong for my son's looking up to me now. All those different things. And 2020 was a chance to keep things in perspective that, look, man, especially here, and we live in America. I'm like, man, kind of first world problems. And I'm not trying to minimize the pandemic, but like, man, if I'm right with God, like I've learned the secret of being content in any and all circumstances. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If I'm right with my family, man, if my family respects me and things are going well with Sonia, I mean, we fight. And there's days when maybe things are not going well with Sonia. But when I think about on the big scale, the strength of our marriage and what we fought for and gone through counseling for and where we've fought to get to, my definition of success I stole from John Maxwell, that at the end of my life, if the people closest to me love and respect me the most, I've won. It's not about the YouTube subscribers or a gold play button or a silver play button. If at the end of my life, the people closest to me love and respect me the most, I've won. Doesn't matter how much is in the bank account. I would like there to be more in the bank account than less, but that's not what matters. That it's just my conduct and my character that I believe matters overall. And 2020 was sure a chance to, if you will, strengthen our character. So I hope these points serve you going into 2021. Double down on content, double down on community, double down on personal growth. Lifelong leaders or lifelong learners, keep learning. Double down on team, commit to getting help. You need help, I need help. We all need help in all areas of our life. We cannot do this alone or go very far on our own. And then keep things in perspective. Count your blessings in the entire process. I really believe it's less about the destination and it's more about the journey. And so commit to the journey, count your blessings, keep things in perspective, and buckle your seatbelt because 2021, we've got an unreal year of content plan for you on the Think Marketing podcast. So thanks for listening to these lessons. Check out part 1, and now let me kick it back to Heather.
Wow, those 10 lessons over the last episode and this episode were so impactful. I love how Sean shares his heart and his faith and really just dives into what it means to be a leader, what it means to be someone who is trying to grow online. And I hope that this brings some relatability to what you're doing. I think these lessons are lessons that we've kind of all learned. And it's a really good reminder to just take that audit of what happened the year before. Have a place like a journal or a Google Doc where you're recording these different things that are happening throughout the year. We here at Think call it our victory log. Now, I know we have these 10 lessons that you learned over the last episode and this episode, but throughout the year, if you're just keeping track of some of the victories that are happening, some of the small wins and some of the big wins, I think it'll help you when you go back to reflect on the year to remember all of the things that have happened, the good, the bad, the ugly, but really the last one that Sean said were the blessings. Knowing that we are so blessed to be able to bring content like this, that you are so blessed to be able to bring content to your audience. This is awesome. And so I just want to thank you so much for being a part of the Think community. And if you've not actually rated and reviewed the podcast, that probably is your next step after you're done listening to this one. We love to read the reviews that you're leaving over on Apple iTunes. And really, what does it do? Well, when you rate and review the podcast with us, it allows iTunes to put this podcast in front of other people just like you who are wanting to grow on YouTube. And today's review comes from Echo, and it says, "No joke, it's that good. Everything is well executed. The sound quality is on point with thoughtful and enriching questions." Echo, I'll make sure to tell our team who loves audio about that comment. You also said, "I am for it. I want more of it." If you're not convinced, check out the Think Media YouTube channel that has over 1 million subscribers and endless high-quality content. It will alter your flip cam experience. No joke. Best for entrepreneurs and people that want to tap into the YouTube vault of passive income or just express themselves better using video and online marketing. Happy listening. Wow, what a great review. And I would love to read your review on a future episode. So make sure you go over, rate and review the podcast today. And this episode was brought to you by the Think Masterclass. If you're ready to go deeper on YouTube, if this is your year to start or grow your channel, or if you are ready to get serious about growing your channel, then you should watch our YouTube class. You can go to thinkmasterclass.com. That's where you can register for this free 1-hour class that Sean Cannell shares, where he gives the 3 secrets to YouTube success. He dives into what's working right now, how YouTube has changed, and what you need to know to be successful on this platform this year. This is a 1-hour class that you can take on your iPhone, tablet. You can listen to it while you're driving or on your computer. But I recommend taking it in a distraction-free zone where you can be honed in on this 1-hour class where Sean's delivering free content that he normally teaches inside of our paid academy. You can go there right now at thinkmasterclass.com, register for that class, and then throughout this year, we're going to be sending you more information through email so that you can stay up to date with what's happening all over Think. I want to thank you again for being a part of our community. Thank you for leaning in, for listening, for being an action taker. That's who we know our community is, and I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm excited for future episodes. Like Sean said, we have some power-packed content coming your way, and I can't wait for you to hear more on the Think Marketing Podcast.